Welcome back everybody to another JDM racing episode in F122 My Team. This time we're at Suzuka, Japan for round 18 of this championship. And qualifying Q1 is up next. Let's see if we can whoop these Ferraris and get a pole position. On board then in Q1 as we round Spoon Curve and come down the back straight. See how we end up compared to the split time. We are 1 second underneath the cutoff for Q2, so looks like we're going to have a quick time, navigate the last chicane, come out, see where we end up provisionally. Well, would you look at that, a JDM 1-2, 2/10 in front of our teammate. Lockout of the front row in Q1, Charles Leclerc in third, so Ferrari have resurrected themselves a little bit. So that was extremely positive to have both of our cars locking out the front row in Q1. Let's see if we can replicate that in Q2. We are going to have to keep an eye on Charles Leclerc because it does appear as though Ferrari have either brought upgrades or they've got something working on that car again. And we know throughout the first half of the season he was very quick. We just clipped the bollard there on the way through the chicane. We're going to speed across the line, take the inside line for the shortest route to the flag. So we don't quite get our lap together and come home fifth. Michael's still on it, 0.06 of a second behind Max Verstappen, so it's all really close going into Q3. So we join on board, we've already done our banker lap, we're 0.8 underneath that. Let's see how the rest of this goes.
Position P1.
We end up hooking up a mega lap then and go close to 0.6 quicker than our teammate. So a dominant performance in Q3 from us, and also Michael just squeaking in front of Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc down in 6th, so that's good news for us to try and keep getting both cars really high finishes and just plugging on up that constructors table.
Welcome along then to the magnificent Suzuka International Circuit, a stone's throw away from Issa Bay in the beautiful Japanese countryside. What surprises lie in wait for us today at the Japanese Grand Prix? We're southwest of the city of Nagoya today at a wet and windy Suzuka circuit. 3.6 miles and 18 corners make up a lap here, with Sector 1 likely to prove especially difficult in these conditions. We should see overtaking into turns 1 and 16 today, and maybe a few Kobayashi-style dives into the hairpin as well. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Gardner lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Perez, Sainz, Ocon, Magnussen, and Daniel Ricciardo. Michael Schumacher, they've taken a grid penalty. Mick Schumacher, George Russell, and Albon. Bottas, Vettel, Lance Stroll, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Yuki Tsunoda, Joe, Latifi, Gasly, and Daniel Ticktum. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Gardner. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
Right then, the formation lap has started, and I must say the weather conditions aren't the best today for visibility and for grip. As each driver performs this lap, they'll be wanting to settle in and concentrate, as this race, in these conditions, will require a lot of focus.
So once again we get hit by another engine penalty. Michael Schumacher's engines are made out of paper mache, it seems. Over that side of the garage there's definitely something going on in terms of reliability. So once again we're up the front on our own, trying to defend from Lando Norris, who's been like our arch rival in these last couple of races. Let's see if we can hold him off in these tricky conditions. Away we go then, lights out, torrential rain. Verstappen looks like he's trying to get right on our gearbox. Norris and Leclerc go through. So let's see if we can get back round Leclerc. We go down the outside and he just has a bit of a wobble. That gives us enough of a chance to get back through and put the pressure back on Norris. So Norris has beat us off the line once again and we've got to chase him now for the rest of this lap. Replay at the start then. We are on the right hand side. Lando Norris on the left in the McLaren has a much better getaway than we do. After our 4th pole position of the season, didn't translate to much off the grid. We just managed to get back in front of Leclerc after he has a little bit of a wobble, and Lando Norris leads the Grand Prix.
Sorry guys, fluffed the start again. Give me the gaps to Michael. I want to make sure that we can get him back up the field if we can.
And as we focus on trying to hunt down Lando Norris in front, we see that Max Verstappen gets past Charles Leclerc behind us, so that does us a favour in terms of the championship as we get really wide up on the curb there and a little bit on the grass, so the tricky conditions aren't getting any easier and we're having to push really hard to try and chase for this win. Now that we've got our tyres up to temp, we set a lap time that's quickest of the Grand Prix and 6/10 faster than Lando, so we are closing in within a second. No DRS of course in the wet conditions, but we are trying to get right on his gearbox to get that pressure on him.
Oh, this is so frustrating. Every time I get close I'm just sliding around behind him. Is there any settings I can use to try and get past him?
Just putting a bit of daylight between ourselves and the Red Bull as he, in turn, Max Verstappen I'm talking about, pulls a gap on Leclerc. So it's becoming a 2-horse race at the front with Max Verstappen a bit further behind. And we're just trying so hard as we almost lose it onto the gravel to get past Lando Norris. I can't help but feel if we could get in front of him we could pull away, but we're just still stuck in that dirty air and aquaplaning all over the place. Coming around to the end of lap 9 and we get notification that Sebastian Vettel's out, and we go into the final chicane and just lock up the brakes and tap Lando Norris a little bit at the back there. Contact. Here is Sebastian Vettel in that Aston Martin way down the field. And it looks like there could be a terminal problem here. Yeah, he pulls off, knocks over the Emirates board. And as we can see, that looks like some kind of transmission problem, maybe gearbox, but that Aston Martin is out of this race. It will not finish. It's a shame. Back at the front, we are still hounding Lando Norris in that McLaren, using the ERS where we can. Into Degner 1 and we go right up on the curb on the exit, almost throwing it into the gravel once again, trying to stay with him through Degner 2 and following him down to the hairpin. We get up on the curb even there and then deep into the hairpin, trying to get a better line but just can't get him at the moment. on lap 11, following him closely through 130R and into the chicane at the end of the lap. We end up outbraking ourselves, trying to take the corner and come back on the track in a safe position, but that has given us an unfair advantage. So as we take off down the straight, we decide to lift off and give him the position back in case race control decide to penalise us for that invalid overtake by leaving the track. Joining race leader Lando Norris at the front of the field at the end of lap 11. Has to keep his wits about him as the JDM goes sailing down the inside at the chicane. Comes back on in front, but there is no way that that is a safe manoeuvre or even a fair manoeuvre. So as he proceeds down the straight, gets the slipstream, and then quite clearly JDM lifts off. Lando goes past back into the lead. As you were then at the front, and Max Verstappen there just in the background. So if there is anywhere we're going to be able to overtake him, it's going to be into that final chicane, I think. But being as we've already done that now, or tried it, he may be defensive to it next time. At the end of the penultimate lap then, we have a purple sector 2, really gunning for it on Lando Norris. Give the ERS for an extra boost, dive down the inside once again, do a little bit of cadence braking to try and stop ourselves from locking up, and we get the lead of the race, this time in a fair manner. Here's the onboard from Lando Norris's perspective then, and all of a sudden goes to turn in, and wow, there's a JDM car right there on the apex. So the JDM has snuck up the inside and gotten into the lead. So Lando now is being pushed back into Max Verstappen, who is closely following. As we see down the start-finish straight into the last lap, Max Verstappen right behind the front two now. So the JDM is going to try and scamper away into the lead, and Lando Norris is going to have to try and consolidate second or come back for the win. So we did the hard work of getting the move done on the previous lap. We've tried to keep it nice and tidy, not go crazy, and we've managed to keep Lando Norris about a second behind. Coming into the final chicane in the lead, and we're going to take this win for JDM at Suzuka.
Great drive! We did it! Good job! We did it!
Through the last couple of corners then, the top three separated by less than 2 seconds. And Gardner is going to come across the line to win his 8th race of the season for JDM.
GG boys! Oh my god, this car is a monster. I won't lie, that was frustrating as all hell sat behind Lando for that whole race, but we got it done in the end. Thank you boys, everyone back at the factory, thank you.
It wasn't always plain sailing today, but it was a very important win nonetheless. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
We take our 8th win of the season then at Suzuka, the 10th in JDM's history. So we're just adding and adding to that trophy cabinet. And Lando Norris, has to be said, was unlucky not to win that race. He did everything right. We just dug deep and somehow managed to get that result, managed to pull off a move on him, but he made it extremely hard for us. Max Verstappen right there as well at the end. Time to break down the results then. We get our 8th win of the season, as we just said, and the extra point as well for fastest lap. 0.2 of a second quicker than Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, who were very close on pace actually. Great drives from them. Leclerc couldn't match him. He was a bit further back in 4th. You have to think that his championship ambitions are going to be in the bin, or very close to being in the bin. Michael Schumacher, 11th. His engine penalties have really been costing him. So we've got to look at that for the next races to get him up with me for the constructors. Top of the championship, we extend our lead over Charles Leclerc to 22 points. Lando Norris very clearly putting himself in 3rd place and best of the rest. Michael Schumacher slips down a place, still not scoring any points. JDM 4th with 7 points behind Red Bull now. It is very close between 2nd, 3rd and 4th in that Constructors' Championship. Ferrari doing just enough with their car to maintain that lead at the top of the Constructors. So they've not really had much in the way of race-winning form, but they still maintain their lead at the top. So that's been the Japanese Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed it. It was an eventful one. It was another wet one, but I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Join us next time as we will go on more JDM escapades and try and wrap up these championships. See you then.